Nope, you are not.
Oh, good, thank you.
That's why everybody's on the
Right now, it looks like I'm just having coffee by myself. So,
I just came off a Zoom meeting and you have to sit there and look at yourself and it's like, oh.
I know.
I don't want to do any more of that. That stuff that's on the table downstairs.
I'll put it away on.
Well, no, I was thinking, shouldn't we get rid of some of that stuff?
Charlie?
You know, that's
Anywhere you want, except for on my lap.
Yeah.
Would you like a cup of coffee, sir?
Sure.
Yeah.
And,
Does anybody else like a cup of coffee?
For Halloween, if we're getting rid of them, so.
Looks like they're all set.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cream
I'm not a
sugar?
coffee drinker.
I'll do it
Black?
this afternoon.
Regular
Some of the
decaf?
stuff, you know, like, there's
Pardon?
felt.
I'm not a coffee drinker. I like
Oh,
chocolate.
that felt
It
is
doesn't seem to bother me too much.
Oh,
That stuff is all front.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
into the hammer?
If it's in one of
I
those
see you've been
trays,
to the
there's
hammer.
those cabinets.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, I was thinking, why do we have
My
some over here,
husband
some
and I
over here,
took
we might as well
several
put them
trips to
together.
The only
We
thing
never made
that,
it
the
to
only
the
thing that
end.
came from downstairs
It was,
are the two,
down there is
I think there's two
really
bins
nothing
that
down
say
there.
state
Never
farm,
mind.
and state
Yeah.
fair.
Find out who won the
Fascinating.
door
Yeah, well,
decorating
wait,
prize.
just-
I did that.
Don't
know.
And then I
even
pulled
see
one
where
that
that
was
raffle
like, probably
No, I
has the
didn't.
Halloween stuff in
I
it.
think it was all
I know,
booked.
Sarah did.
The Joe did.
Yeah.
Joe and Joe.
But I don't know if anybody
So
has
we took the
decorated
actual
other than
trip
me
that
and
the first,
the law firm.
Explorers, attempted.
Oh,
They never
she's
did.
Oh, yeah, they did.
Yeah. We saw the graves.
But
of the
I don't,
people
but
and
there was
had
never anything
ships
about
and
you
crashed
needed to
and,
let
and they
activities
died
know.
from.
Yeah, I don't think we're
Yeah.
missing
Except
anything.
in that one
First
visit.
expedition,
Yeah,
So,
okay.
I did see they had a nice
And the
piece
hay
of
was
fabric
wet to
that
seal
looked
the
perfect.
cans
Sure,
of
but
food and they
they
got-
I just saw that yesterday when we were down for yoga.
Tyler, are we getting our, change in TVs so we can watch the Packer games in the club room?
Yes, we'll start that off. Welcome to Coffee with Tyler, this edition. So, Joe just asked. We have Packers season coming up. I think
Nobody knows about that.
I know. Well, I'm here to tell you that the Packers are going to be starting here soon. Actually, tomorrow night. The Green Bay Packers.
Oh,
You know them.
That team up north. No, we're looking to see how we can get the TV working in the club room for the game. So I know the first preseason game is tomorrow night. I know they had their family night Saturday, so I'll see if we can get it up and going for the preseason. My goal is definitely by the first game of the season that we are all set and squared away. So, and I think we'll probably actually have the first game on in Lindsay Hall. I just need to check unless it's like a noon game where we have church, because that's not going to work. But no, the first we'll definitely have our Packer parties, whether that's in Lindsay Hall, the club room. We'll find a spot. So excited for football to be back, and hopefully we have a good season. So
We all do.
we always hope for that, right? So yes, how's everybody doing? Good, good. It's beautiful weather out there. Has anybody been to the state fair yet? No.
I
Okay.
just picked up cream puffs.
You picked up cream puffs. That was my next question. Has anybody just had the cream puffs?
Yeah, I would go for it.
So,
I remember a time when they used to bring cream puffs here.
I remember that time too.
She isn't that nice. We both remember that
We
time.
both remember that time. So,
That was special.
And they cut them in half.
and they cut them in half because they're too big for one. So, state fair goes on until Saturday, right?
Sunday.
Sunday. All right. Well, let me
That would
see
be a
if
nice treat on Saturday.
really would it be.
For sure.
We need it.
Not that you need to drop hints or anything, but I see what you're doing there.
If not, if you put in your order, I'll go pick them up.
Oh, all right. So yes, we will see what we can do to get some cream puffs.
Yeah, they have to
Available.
order them ahead.
and then you just drive up, it's really.
I was gonna say,
easy.
they have the cream puffs to go this year still?
Yeah, you just, or
Okay.
you order them online, they send
Yeah.
you a QR code that you print out
And
or
then
on
you
your
just-
phone, and then you just drive up there and show it, they scan it.
There you go.
You have to prepay
Yeah.
with your church.
Yeah.
Of course.
Of course.
And do they still have the number of different kinds of cream puffs, or are they
No,
just sticking with the
just
originals?
The purest.
Purest.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we might be able to see if we can work some magic. So, all right. Well, what else? Anybody have any questions to start?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. Let me.
Yes.
Is this a red pen moment or no?
No, I'm just curiosity. I wonder what's going on in the courtyard because they keep digging and digging and digging and digging. And those guys are
Oil.
magic though with that machine. He has such a delicate touch. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you felt the rumble, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So-
So shaking, yeah.
So yes. So the courtyard. That was a big topic of conversation because it seems like there's always something going on, but then so let me start by right now they're digging the footings, and so that's the large hole, and so the footings are really the foundation for that ramp that we have that we're adding. And so they had to do some soil testing because of how the backfill to when they added the building wasn't necessarily appropriate for the new ramp addition that we're adding on. So there's some work to be done there. But what you're seeing now is that initial footing. And so hopefully you'll see concrete being poured soon into that footing. Then once they get what you felt was the rumbling was the compacting soil. So they had to backfill, compact the soil, put soil back on top, recompact it, and do that multiple times so that we know we have a strong dirt foundation before we put the cement down. Because the last thing you want is for some of that dirt to move underneath, then your foundation starts cracking, and then we have much larger issues. So that's been the main process for them. They've had to do some additional soil testing, not for any chemicals or anything of that nature, but just purely for that compacting nature of the soil to make sure it's right. And I'm no engineer, so I'm speaking a little out of school right now. But again, there's certain pounds per square inch that soil has to be able to meet before they can put concrete on top. So I'm hopeful in the next week we'll have actual cement and some rebar. That's the rebar that helps reinforce the cement, tie into the building, and then really start seeing the ramp taking shape. Once the ramp takes shape, then the rest of the courtyard kind of comes to fruition. There was a large pipe electrical line that we found. I think I mentioned in the last coffee with Tyler that we had to rework around a little bit. But outside of that, hopefully we'll start to see, and I think it's actually in this update as well, the sidewalk on top will get poured above the retaining wall. We are adding a set of stairs as well. So again, all in all, the courtyard, albeit it may not look like it's on schedule, it may not look like the work is, they're moving piles of dirt, but there's a method to their madness, and they are on track, and that is planning to be complete when the dining room opens here in the next, hopefully by, end of October, early November. So that will all be complete. The ramp will be up. The tie-in, the actual utilization of the ramp probably won't be done because there's some work that's being done on the first floor of historic, and they actually have to punch through the wall to tie that ramp back in. So there's a little bit of navigation that we still need to work through, but yes, the courtyard is quite something. They've taken over 100, but at this point probably over 100 yards of dirt, probably brought back 10 different truckloads of dirt to and from. So Veet is the contractor out there, as I'm sure you've seen, and then KEI will come in and do the what I call the pretty of it in the spring next year with all the landscaping. So yes, but yeah, I think somebody mentioned is all your money going into that courtyard? And I assure you it's not. it can't, at least they haven't notified me yet, so, no, there's a price and they're working within that. So.
Will the trees go in this fall?
What's
Trees, aren't there trees in the courtyard?
Yes,
They'll go in this fall?
yes, I believe so. Any other questions? Polly, you have one?
About the same thing about the construction. Somebody heard a rumor that both the dining room and Lindsay Hall will be shut down at the same time.
No,
That's what I thought.
that is a rumor. That is specifically what I've asked them to not do. The rumor would be that Christmas at the castle will look different this year because Lindsay Hall is scheduled to be closed in December. The main dining room will be up in November, so those two can't overlap. Again, I mentioned that at the State of the Castle meeting. That's all part of the schedule. We have to be able to still function as a community, although it's going to look a little different, obviously, as they're renovating spaces and things of that nature. But they know that they can't have Lindsay Hall and the dining room down at the same time. That's a request that I've worked with CG Schmidt on. The dining room needs to be fully operational and functioning. Then they can have Lindsay Hall. I've also requested that first week, so our Christmas at the Castle, can still be in Lindsay Hall. So they won't be taking Lindsay Hall until after that first weekend. I know a few of you have been working with Mike Brewer. I had a meeting yesterday with Gary on the choir and kind of that plan, so that we can still have a Christmas concert. So we have a date already kind of pinpointed, and I'll let Gary kind of share what those details are. I know that we're working hard for the spring, well, I guess the summer, mid-fall, late summer concert at this point. And then we'll still have a choir performance and concert for Christmas and the winter. So, but no, those two won't be off at the same time. But you do bring up an interesting point, and something that we'll start to communicate again as time gets closer. When the club room goes down, when the Lindsay Hall goes down, the library, the front desk. Obviously, we need to be up and operational, so the front desk can't move until the new front desk is open, because then they do take that front lobby down, and you can't enter from Circle Drive anymore. Everybody will be coming off of Bradford Terrace and the main parking lot there, and walking essentially done, because Bradford Terrace will also be completed at that time. So Bradford Terrace is on schedule to be completed at the end of September. We then go through occupancy, licensure, and then we start moving our assisted living residents over into that new space. So that's tentatively the middle of October is what we've been sharing with the families in assisted living, as well as the residents themselves. Many have already selected their new apartments. And then that will be done. The dining room, again, kind of end of October, early November is scheduled for, I know November 15th is the date I put out that will be functioning. Obviously, Majarka and her team need to get comfortable with the space and make sure, we work through that. So we'll be working with the food and beverage committee. We'll be working with you as residents so that we don't probably have all 80 of you on the first night coming down at 5 p.m. I know that might be fun for nobody, but we'll work with you so that the dining team can get back in the flow, because obviously, as we celebrated Mary yesterday, we'll have a new dining room manager by that time. The team obviously hasn't served the way they served in the main dining room in a couple of months, so we have some new teaching and training that has to be done, as well as it's a different space, so it's a different flow on how we do things. So but all that will be, again, open here in, beginning of November, mid-November, is still on track. And then we'll jump to the other side. So yeah.
When do you anticipate the store moving?
Again, probably in that beginning of November. Because once the dining room opens, they won't give us the dining room until that front desk, the general store, the bistro area, as well as that main dining room is complete. That all comes back online at one time. So definitely, and then we'll have a little bit of time to move items and get situated. We'll have at least, I would say, at least a week, if not 2 weeks, before they flip over and start doing that upper section. And there's still conversation about when and how they're gonna do that upper section, just because I do still want some meeting spaces for residents. Obviously, water tower will still be available, and this will probably be our main in December because Lindsay Hall will be offline. This, along with our second floor common areas, will really be our two main meeting spaces for that month. And then they know Lindsay Hall needs to be turned back as soon as possible. So again, we're working through those details. Again, don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves because, as you know, in the construction project, things can change pretty quickly. And again, some of you already experienced that with having to move some cars and things of that nature. But overall, I mean, I'm very pleased with the progress. Again, budget-wise, we're within the budget and staying within the budget. It appears to be, as any construction project, you want to remain under budget. So that's where we're at right now. And again, we're at 27 apartments sold out of the new 30 apartments. We lost one, but we really didn't lose them because they're moving into a current apartment. So they took their deposit from a new apartment, saw one that they wanted in the current inventory or current apartments, and they transitioned that deposit, and so they'll be moving in October. So I'm excited for that. So we have, and we anticipate that as part of the sales process. When somebody puts 10% down, you always anticipate somebody to say, you know what, maybe not the right time, but ultimately we have over 20 residents that have made their selections, have given us a check that is non-refundable for those selections, and so that really elevates that level of commitment to those new homes. So
I think that's just amazing that many people have put money down for something that doesn't exist yet, really.
Well, their apartment doesn't, East Castle does.
Yeah.
And so, that is, I think, again, attributed to you, and I know I've said this a number of times, but that's that community, and that's what they're buying, and that's what they're saying, I want to be a part of. And yeah, the new apartments, again, they have layouts and renderings and selections and things of that nature, but ultimately they know they've had experience in interacting with you in an event. An event that's going to be very large is next week, Thursday. We have nearly 40 new prospective residents and depositors coming to our gazebo courtyard for our Barbecues Blue and Brew event. And I think then you as residents will have that later in the evening, around 3:30, 4 o'clock. You'll be in the gazebo courtyard with a barbecue themed dinner next week. So again, we'll look forward to that. So that's Thursday. We'll have prospects and depositors from about 2 to 4 p.m. And then I think you as residents will start joining us around 3:30 to, the evening, and then have a barbecue themed dinner that Chef Tim is putting together. The ribs, brisket, whatever's on the menu. But my mouth is already watering. So, but yeah, there's definitely interest, and there's definitely, we continue to see that. We have 3 apartments currently open, of which 2 are already spoken for. So we have 1 apartment that we're actively selling. So again, it's a credit to the sales team, you as residents, but also there's a need and a want in the greater Milwaukee area. We also have a neat niche market up in Door County that we've had a number of residents come to us from. So yeah.
I have a cute story about the community here. Carla, from the CG78 and her intern.
Yep.
Were just beside themselves that they were allowed to go into the bistro to get water. They have never had that experience before. They were just overjoyed.
Yeah.
Water.
Yeah. No, and that's something I've had the opportunity to sit down with CG Schmidt and their team, and again, they know and respect it to your home, but the way in which you welcome them too has been pretty neat to see. They definitely have said that this is a unique project. They usually don't get this type of treatment.
That's what they were saying.
So
We made some sales out of the treasure chest too.
yes. I
Did
saw.
they come down for that?
Yeah.
Well, somebody bought that big china
Yes.
cabinet down there and carted it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know I took the gentleman that bought it on a special private tour. He's like, hey, can I just see that? And he's like, I'm really interested. So I'm to Mike, and I didn't see their name on it, and I said, Mike, I think I got a sale for you. So I'm still waiting on the commission check from Mike on that. But yes, I'm glad you opened that up to them as well, and I think it's benefited. And obviously, we have, I think, nearly $14,000 in scholarship monies to grant now due to the treasure chest and what you as residents have done. So I know the application process is now done. Mike is gathering all the applications that were fully submitted by the employees, and we'll sit down with the resident committee and we'll walk through that. So very excited for that. And again, just another a tribute to East Castle Place and you know the welcome that you provide.
I have, in connection with the construction on the second floor, you said you need some access up there while construction is going on. Will there still be access to the garden, like through the stairway or something like that? 'Cause
Yes.
it's gonna need watering like through November, I would think.
Yes, and so that might time out just right because work really isn't preliminarily going to start up there until November-ish, and then that will be done by well before March. So I think because once it turns into a construction zone, they are very safety driven and want to make sure that is an area that not too many people enter. So I'll double check on that, but the timing might just add up that we're kind of in that cold season. So hopefully if there's any work to prep the plants, maybe can be done in October, and or we can probably get you in there. It may just be you have to coordinate with myself. We'll give you a hard hat. You and I will walk out there together, let you do your work, and then we'll walk back in. So,
I'll put you to work.
yeah, absolutely. I'll bring my jeans and t-shirt and help do some landscaping.
And
So.
get pictures, because I want to see Terry in a hard
So, but yes, we'll make sure that we can accommodate that.
Okay.
So,
Does that mean the boardroom will be closed too when they're
Yeah,
doing that? Oh,
because there's
okay.
there's
Are
work
they
that
changing anything in there?
potentially the table and the chairs.
So that you can get around it easier?
yeah.
Okay.
We're definitely getting new chairs. I think we are getting a new table, new paint, new flooring, things of that nature. The physical structure of it doesn't change, just the look of it, and then obviously the salon, as we mentioned last week, or was communicated last week, is now in the 4th floor of Water Tower here instead of the Contemporary Salon, because the Contemporary Salon and the general store all get turned into a larger general meeting space, so that we can have coffees with Tyler, resident council meetings, things of that nature, where we don't have to go into Lindsay Hall or another space. Have the technology already in there that if I need to show, a presentation, or the committee needs to show a presentation or something, it's all right there. And so that's the main driver for that. Then there's a smaller library space up there as well. The meditation room will remain in that area as well.
Does Mike's office there?
That's a great question that I keep getting asked.
By Mike?
By Mike. He's like, do I need to go remote? But no. Every time it's brought up, I'm like, yeah, we'll find a space for Mike. And then I'm like, I need to really make sure I check the plans. We do have space for Mike. It just, is it there? Does his office remain is the question. So I need to check the plans. So.
You have to know where to find him.
Exactly. Well, he will be temporarily moved for sure. And so that's where it just is a matter of Bradford Terrace comes, which I assume it will be back online because Mike made temporarily office out of Bradford Terrace because we have an extra office there. Teresa also moves over to Bradford Terrace permanently, and then she'll be right by the clinic area where the new
That's
dental office and things of that nature will be. So
Is that in the lower level?
that's in the first floor.
Oh,
So
first
right
floor,
when you walk through the Bradford Terrace doors off the Bradford Terrace parking lot, essentially that first office you'll see is Teresa's, and then the clinic is right across from there.
Oh, great.
So again, that way we can really have, when I say healthcare underneath one building, I truly want that, so that we can say to new residents, independent living residents, go to the, healthcare area, or, Bradford Terrace, and not the fourth floor, you take elevator D,
Yeah.
so, that truly was one of the other goals, so.
That was the main goal, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the healthcare underneath one building, the clinic was a nice add that we were able to do because the other, future long-term hope is that maybe we even have a nurse practitioner clinic hours of sorts for independent living residents so that you can get services. I know we're in a very walkable location, Prospect Medical Commons and things of that nature, but I do think it would be nice that, if a nurse practitioner from either our medical director's office or somebody from Ascension, it's a space that I would love to be able to utilize for those purposes for residents so that they don't necessarily have to go.
Great.
So
That's
it's just
great.
another resource. So
Very
that
helpful.
is a long-term plan. It definitely won't be up and operating, initially. We'll get comfortable with the space, but we do have some interest, so. Arlie, any questions?
No, I'm still learning.
I know. Does everybody know Arlie?
Yes.
All right. So this is your first time here?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I should have introduced it. It's really what you see is just an open discussion. If you have any questions on your mind, really takes. I come with a blank piece of paper, and usually it's filled by the end of these. So.
I'm still looking for the men's room.
Men's room. Oh, Arlie, you and I we'll find that. It's right down there. It's public. So.
Some of them are unisex.
Yeah. So.
In replacing Mary, not that we can replace Mary.
Right.
But, are you planning to go outside to look for someone or promote from within, or how does that work?
Sure, great question. And so, from a dining room manager, I was really neat to see Mary's celebration. I think everybody joining in. She's a jolly good fellow, and all those pieces. So, like I said yesterday, you can't replace a Mary, but you have to replace the position.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what we've done is every position that we have at East Castle Place is always posted internally for every employee to view. That's part of our standard process. It has been for probably before I got here. It's in the employee hallway. Any employee can fill out an internal application, even if they're a CNA and they're interested in the dining room manager position. We have that posted. Nobody's had interest internally in that. We've talked to individuals to see their interest level. Obviously, first and foremost, like a Sam, in the kind of that lead position, because Sam, if you didn't know, Sam is our lead server. So she works really opposite of Mary on those weekends. So Mary works one weekend, then Sam really is that lead on those other weekends. And Sam is, wanting to continue to grow, but is very comfortable and confident in her position. So. Since Mary gave us her notice for retirement, we did post on, I think, 4 different job boards. So Indeed, we have a recruiter as well that we work with that's been recruiting. So, that's anybody that has their resume up, maybe on a LinkedIn or an Indeed, she'll call. And then also, just on the various job boards, there's a specialized one in culinary that we use. So we actually had an interview today with a potential candidate that Majarka phone screened initially, and now have taken that next step. So again, it's a process. We don't just want to find anyone. We want to find the right person. It's been difficult. We would have loved to have somebody in place already so that they could kind of hand off, but I have full confidence in Majarka and Sam and the team to onboard that new individual appropriately. As well as this new individual really has the opportunity to see the change and see, kind of make that a position that is going to be really, really impactful. So nobody to name yet. As soon as we have that individual, we will make sure that they are introduced. Although it is a manager position. Obviously, it's someone you see night after night after night, and so we'll make sure that they get introduced and acclimated to the community as quickly as possible. So, but they will be going through an interesting time because obviously we're in a very different level of service right now, and also coming up with how operationally we want to work that dining room, the continental breakfast, obviously the bar area when that comes online, that may as well might fall underneath that same manager type position. So yes, does that answer your question? Okay. But yeah, it's an important role, and I think I shared this last night at Mary's, but when Mary was working those weekends, Majarka will be kind of that Mary for now, and working with Majarka to just make sure she's not working 14 days in a row or anything like that. But special thanks to Majarka and again, the whole team there that have really, changed their ways in how they do business and how they serve you as residents. But also again, special thanks to you for your understanding and your, working through the changes as well, with having Lindsay Hall as your temporary dining room, and then you'll transition back, and then it'll be a whole different experience for you. So
You have to learn it all.
yeah, we'll have to learn it all over again. So.
It feels like the servers that there has not been the turnover in the servers that there was for, and I find that interesting that they're, like Malaysia, Pam, Kira, they're all there.
Yeah. And I give that credit to, Mary and Sam, but also Majarka. I think Majarka has made a huge impact on the overall dining program. And I really credit her and thank her for the impact. I think she just has really good relationships and really can connect with the different individuals. And also, again, we've had to be flexible as well, and we've always been flexible, but there's always a business need. But at the same time, Majarka has been very good at working and having those conversations on the front end. Hey, I've seen you've called in the last couple of days. Is there something we can do, to work with you? We see that you're coming in 15 minutes late. Why is that? As opposed to you're 15 minutes late consistently, and now you're on that kind of notice from an attendance standpoint. So trying to be a little bit more proactive. So again, that's a credit to Majarka, a credit to the relationships that she has, and really just making sure we're still keeping those standards. And again, it starts with the hiring process. So Jen McEwen, our director of HR, and Mia have done a fantastic job as well. And again, we do the number of phone screens that Mia does in a week to get individuals, because we always have applicants. But they aren't the right individuals. So we interview if they show up, consistently. That is one piece. We do expect that if you say you're going to interview and we do expect you to show up and you don't, we do kind of write you off at that time, because usually you're at your best. In my case, and in most business sense, you're at your best at your interview. Want to put your best foot forward. And if you can't show up to the interview, generally that's not a good start. So not usually one, unless you call, things happen, and again, we've rescheduled, those things happen, but if it's just you don't call or you don't show up, then it's okay, well, you don't want to work here. So we don't move forward at that point. We don't beg people to come and work here. That just doesn't lead to usually good outcomes. So. Yeah. What else?
About a week and a half or so ago, Friday, I was volunteering in the treasure chest, and I was in the larger room with the furniture, and I noticed when I was sitting there, there were about 5 vehicles that just went whipping through. Like they were on Bradford Avenue, really. And it was, kind of a shock. And I was wondering if you could put anything out there to slow people down, or because there's people walking there too, not just, and there's there's corners.
Yes.
Going there a lot,
And we do have the mirror, and I'm waiting for it to be. I'm waiting for it. Eric and I physically walked down there. I anticipated it to be up because I showed him exactly where, and then Eric is on vacation this week, so I will be hopefully walking with Jesus to get the mirror up yet this week. But we can also put up slow signs, slow, and again.
I was very surprised, because
Yeah.
I'm not a slow driver myself,
Right.
but this was, in that situation, it was excessive.
Yeah.
It was,
And I'll talk to Teresa too, because sometimes we do have private duty aides that will drive residents, and I just want to make sure that they're also reminded. But definitely putting up a slow sign. I can even put up a 5 mile an hour sign, but I think slow, again, slow can be general, because slow maybe was that speed that they were going. We can definitely mark that up. So.
Put up the children in place.
the little turtle with the flag, you know, like right outside.
That would
the
slow
children-
them down.
Yeah.
They were saying,
what?
we used to have those things at so many miles an hour.
Yeah,
Flashing.
right.
Yeah.
There's one right on Memorial Drive right now. As you drive up,
Yeah.
you see it
Yeah.
flashing. Well, I see it flashing
because you're going too fast.
but I don't drive past the turning chest, so it wasn't me that was driving too quickly.
I was just surprised they were going that fast.
Yeah. So, but a good reminder.
They must be parking way down at the end of the pickup speed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
A question came up last night when we went to the lighthouse.
Mhm.
I didn't realize this, but some people, when they go out, they would prefer not to take their walker, they use a cane, but they need the information about how accessible wherever we're going is.
Okay.
So, somehow communicating that, either on the sign-up sheet or, I don't know if it has to be on the flyer itself, but maybe on the sign-up
Sign-up
sheets.
Yeah,
Good idea.
that's a great idea. I'll talk to Stacy and Scott and make sure where we're going usually should be handicap accessible, just because regardless of walkers, wheelchairs, and so on and so forth. But in that event, I'm assuming the lighthouse, you had a couple steps to navigate.
No, it was accessible,
Okay.
but that wasn't, because it was a place that people were unfamiliar with, they weren't sure about, well, should I take my walker? And actually, she would have preferred to have taken her walker
Gotcha.
then. So,
Okay. Yeah.
she wanted to make the choice.
Okay.
Yeah.
What else? Anything? Trying to think. Just upcoming this month. Obviously, towards the end, we have Coffee with Tyler, then we have a budget presentation, then we have a State of the Castle. So that'll be a pretty busy week. Next month, the first Coffee with Tyler, I'm probably going to cancel. And it's because I won't be here. We can have a coffee. We can have a coffee with somebody else, but we have a sales conference that I'll be attending. So that's September. I think it's 8th is that Thursday. I may push it to September 1st, but otherwise we'll just do one next month. So. And then CG Schmidt has their construction update next week, Friday. So we'll look forward to what they're going to share and the update they have. You'll see an update today with the COVID announcement as well as on Touchdown. They've shared some interesting facts, the number of man hours that have been put into the project thus far, the number of sheets of drywall. They get a little bit into the courtyard. So you'll see that slide posted on Touchdown later today, and then that'll be attached to your COVID update as well today. So speaking of COVID, actually it's kind of refreshing that I didn't have to talk about COVID yet, but it is still there. Milwaukee County is still, in that 16% range-ish. We have not had any resident cases, so to speak. We've, knock on wood. And our employee cases are rare at this point. We've had what I call the onesies twosies, but they're all what I call non-work related. So it's not because I came to East Castle Place that I contracted COVID. It's because I'm out and about in the community and I've contracted COVID from a family member or somebody on the outside. So We still remain very vigilant in our COVID practices. If you are visiting a loved one up on the 4th, 5th, or 3rd floor or assisted living, we do ask you to mask. Our employees are in masks and goggles there, as well as they're temping themselves. Of our employees, 98% are fully vaccinated. That has changed. So now, in order to be fully vaccinated, which is 3 shots for those that are under the age of 55 and 4 shots for those over the age of 55, we are what we now call up to date. Over 55% of our employees are up to date, so have either received their 3rd and or their 4th, but at minimum, 98% of the employees have received at least their 2 vaccines, and then they will be receiving their flu shots as well as part of our employment practices here. So again, symptom management is something we're still crucial on. If you come in with, a headache, a fever, some type of symptoms, you are being sent home, you are going through the COVID protocols, you are having to test negative before returning. So again, I want to make sure we are staying vigilant in that regard, but it does seem that, this, I don't want to say a new norm, is really starting to take shape, but I am pleased to see even residents are still reporting symptoms, and we're going through the protocols as necessary. So continue to stay vigilant, continue to be comfortable and confident in where you're living, and also continue to take the precautions as we have over the last 2.5 years. So.
Will there be a flu clinic this year?
Yep, Teresa's working on that as we speak
okay.
with Walgreens CVS. So probably look for that information. We're hoping to have a date set for late September, I believe, this year, even mid-September. So I know Teresa's working on that.
Okay.
Anything else? Well, if not,
I guess that
That's
means
it.
we're all happy.
all right. Well, thank you, everybody.
See, you only have 2/3 of a page filled.